866-5555, Jacksonville. Let's go into the night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Clearly one of my favorite months, arguably my favorite month of the year, non-football related. Tough to beat October, right? Especially with Major League Baseball and the World Series. You give me the conference schedule in college football. And, I mean, just think of today with all these great rivalries, right? Like when SMU visits Florida State. USC visits Indiana. Oklahoma takes the long trip to Arkansas. I guess that would actually be an old school rivalry, right? They did it way back in the Southwestern Conference. They did it in the Big 8 before the Big 12. But anyway, and then the NFL, you really feel like you know what's going on with your team in October. There are examples of just the opposite. Case in point, 2 years ago, right? This football team right here in Duval was 8-3. Everything was pointing upward. Everything looked really good. Then they just completely fell apart, losing 5 of 6. But that is long gone. That is in the rear view. It's now about James Gladstone. It's now about Liam Cohen. It's now about building this roster. Got a text the other day. Actually, it was an email the other day here. Let me try that for a third time. It was a text on our station line, which you can get us at any time, 641-1010, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. And it said something along the lines of, why is anyone talking about this being a complete rebuild with Jacksonville? And I kind of let it go for a little while because I don't agree with that. This is not a complete rebuild, okay? You have a quarterback. Whether or not you can take him to the elite level remains the biggest question in this city. Many believe Trevor Lawrence has wasted the first 4 years of his career. We know he's only 25. There's still an opportunity. Absolutely. His best football is ahead of him. But it's not a bare cupboard. You have a superstar at wide receiver. Okay? I think you got a couple of decent backs. I believe you've got some defensive players on the edge that are difference makers. It doesn't outshine the fact that Jacksonville was 27th last year in pro football in the pass rush win rate, dead last in pro football. Even though you have two very accomplished edge guys, no depth, nothing in the interior. And we know that they allowed 5.9 yards play, 31st in pro football. I mean, that's frightening. That is petrifying. You can do the math. 5.9 yards of play, 1st and 10, 2nd and 4, first down. That is scary. Fix it. Fix it. You got to. But I'm putting it on the back burner. I'm fixing my offense first. I'll get to the defense. Okay? I'll get to it. I mean, take like the Steve Spurrier opinion. Obviously, Spurrier, particularly when he brought in Bob Stoops, really intensified that defense. But with Spurrier, it was always offense. Didn't matter where he was, Duke, then Florida, right? That's the way I want this football team to be. What are they going to do? Which direction are they going to go? Not only at number 5 in the NFL draft, but we know we are now 6 days away from the legal tampering period in the NFL and in free agency. It was a historic day with the deadline that came and went a little bit earlier this afternoon. Only 2 players were franchise tagged this year, okay? Unfortunately for me, the one that I wanted most, Trey Smith, gone. Staying with Kansas City. They're going to try to redo a deal with the 25-year-old right guard. If I could have plucked one player via free agency this year, he would have been my guy. Give me a right guard. The second guy would have been T. Higgins, but I was a little bit more realistic with Higgins. Were you really going to be able to afford to pay this man $40 million a year or whatever the market is? You can make the case that, yeah, you can do it. You have Brian Thomas Jr. in a rookie contract. You can't even talk about an extension for another 3 years, right? You can't even get into it at this particular point. He is slotted in as a rookie, okay? And you could cut Christian Kirk, and you could free up cash, and you could make it work. I just think, for me, that's a little bit too much. Today, more announcements made. We actually got into it last night. Chris Godwin, not franchise tagged by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a belief there in Tampa that they're going to do everything they can to keep him there. All right, they didn't slap a tag on him. He's coming off of the dislocated ankle. Read a couple of reports that they hope he is ready by the start of training camp. They don't know that. That's another thing that scares me just a little bit because, I'm prone to, just like you are, remember the last thing that happened. And the last thing that happened with this organization is they brought in too many overpriced veteran free agents coming off of injuries. And they weren't ready at the Miller Electric Center when camp broke. Savage, Armstead, Gabe Davis, they weren't. And I want healthy guys. I don't want they're on the come, they're rehabilitating. And every organization deals with this. I understand it, but I also think it's perfectly fair to go on out and sign a free agent who is healthy. The market's going to be very intriguing with Sam Darnold. Minnesota did not pick up the franchise tag on him. Was this a one-year wonder? Is this a Baker Mayfield all over again? What do you do in Minnesota? You're going to pay this man $40 million a year when you have J.J. McCarthy there waiting. Didn't even take a snap because of his injury in the very first year. Maybe the opposite of this would be you want to see a divisional opponent get him. How would you feel if all of a sudden Tennessee got Sam Darnold? Where do you put Sam Darnold with, Aaron Rodgers ain't coming to Tennessee. Where do you put him with Cam Ward? Where do you put him with Shedeur Sanders? And I have a combine guest who's coming up. If I have time, I'll ask him, but I want to keep it obviously all Jaguar related. But it just, everything I'm reading, it seems like as the days go by, there is much more separation between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Sanders is getting crushed. Apparently, he is not interviewed well. He's really upset a lot of teams by being arrogant and brash, where Ward comes across as a much more likable person. It's out there. It's all over the place. So, we'll see what ends up happening there within the market at wide receiver. But, only 2 players tagged this year. It's the fewest since 1994. There were 8 players franchised a year ago, and there's been at least 6 tagged going all the way back to 2019. I'm trying to figure out what teams are doing. And, the salary cap has exploded once again. I mean, we're talking about post-COVID. The last 2 years with the salary cap, it has gone up to, it's gone up about $50 million in the last 2 seasons. So, teams have an incredible amount of money to spend. This year's total is $279.2 million. Jacksonville right now is somewhere in the category of about $38 million. Okay, with an opportunity to obviously free up some more cash. But it just feels like teams are willing to move along from players. We saw that today with Davantae Adams at the age of 32. Okay, big number. New York's going to eat a lot of dead money there. But all of a sudden, Davantae Adams becomes available. Do you want Davantae Adams? Is his attitude, is Davantae Adams being a diva more of a risk than it is a return? That's an interesting conversation. As I said a moment ago, you have your best football player going into year 2 with a rookie contract. You can afford to overspend at wide receiver, whether it is Davantae Adams, whether it is Chris Godwin. All right? You can. Now, whether or not this team is going to do it, we don't know. But this is fascinating. And you also hope that they know where they're going here. Because I don't want Jacksonville to be a team that lets the market play itself out. I want them to be aggressive. I want to hear on Monday, March 10th, that they've made a move, that they've made 2 moves. It's going to cost more to do it then, but who cares? It's not your money. It's not my money. And I still don't officially know. What is the attitude here in year one with the new brass? Are they going to spend? Are they going to sit back a little bit? And, you know, I would love to say they're going to add a right guard. I would love to say they're going to add a wide receiver. I'm under the impression right now that 2 things are going to happen here in the next 50 days. Number 1, they're going to add a safety. They're going to add a backup rush end. They may add some competitiveness along the interior offensive line. That's what I think Jacksonville is going to do. And with a rush end in an interior offensive lineman, if there's no guarantee that they're starters and they're fighting for a job, then that's not going to happen early next week. You will let the market develop for those type of players. If you go out and get a safety, you're going to have to spend a little bit, right? And I wish it was not the case. I wish I could sit here and say they're going to get a guard. Now, they passed up today on Jonah Jackson. We talked an awful lot about him. James Gladstone, very familiar with Jonah Jackson. He goes to the Bears for a 6th-round pick in the 2025 draft. Again, this will not be official until March 12th. I'm looking at this a little bit differently, all right? James Gladstone knew all about Jonah Jackson. I believe he kicked the tires here. A phone call was made, an inquiry was made, but the price was too much. Or Gladstone, with his eyes, with his analysis, not good enough. Not good enough to come over here right now. The Bears thought the exact opposite. The Bears said, you want a 6th-round pick? Come get him. Right? I mean, 3 weeks ago when the Deebo Samuel, the Jacksonville stuff came out, you went nuts. You went absolutely crazy. You wanted nothing to do with Deebo Samuel, and I get it. And you had explanation after explanation as to why you did not want Deebo here in Duval. He goes to Washington for a 5th-round pick. They're going to have to redo a contract there. We'll monitor it. That's going to be intriguing. The Jonah Jackson thing is the right guard. You know, he was in what? Detroit, then went over to Los Angeles, has 2 years remaining, big money. But instead of ripping the decision, instead of being disappointed in the decision, what I'm going to look at is that Gladstone was there and he saw it all. And he elected not to make the move. What if this was a can't-miss right guard? What if the story was different? And he said, no, we need to get this guy. This will automatically upgrade the Jaguars' offensive line. 5th round, okay, we'll give a 5th round. They gave a 6th round. He didn't see it. One way or another, he did not see that this was the move to make. So I know that there's been people wondering about this today. I would have loved it, but again, I'm not going to sit here and overdo it with my interior offensive line play, unless it's a guy, certainly like Trey Smith. And every time I mention Trey Smith, many of you will say, hey, Ballou, he got blown up during the Super Bowl. You know, the Kansas City offensive line was destroyed by Philadelphia, and it's a fair point. It is, and it's remarkable that Vic Fangio was able to have so much success against Kansas City in the 42 dropbacks that Patrick Mahomes did have. He didn't blitz him once. So that's the latest. That's where Jacksonville is at this particular point. But more and more and more and more are becoming available as far as veterans across the league. The second thing that I was going to say that I think happens in the next 50 days, I don't think Jacksonville remains at 5. I just don't. I think there's a small chance they could move up. That's going to be costly, right? And the only way that happens is if there's a guy that New England's going to select it for that they feel they just cannot let get away. And you may tell me that's Mason Graham. You may tell me that's Travis Hunter. If Abdul Carter falls, that's the only way I see that. I think the more prominent scenario is hopefully Jacksonville gets the offensive lineman and Will Campbell, but is in a position where they can move down a few spots, acquire a little bit more draft capital. That's the way I look at it today. Those are my two issues. All right, or those are my two, a forecast, if you will. They don't overdo it in free agency, and they trade out of number 5. We'll see. Hey, I'm going to be here for it. You're going to be here for it. It's a good feeling, and it has to be for you. And we didn't even talk about this club being 4-13 anymore. 4-13 is so far behind you as a Jaguars fan. And that's a good thing because this organization, even though they did it backwards, right, by waiting 2.5 weeks to fire Balky, even though they did it backwards by hiring their general manager last, all of that is forgotten if you make the right moves. All of that is forgotten if you start to win football games. There is an incredible amount of intensity in this city about Jaguar football, and I love it. You should love it. Be a champion in February. Be a champion in March. Hell, take that championship with you to April. Dive into May, June, and July until things crank up at the Miller Electric Center once again. Why not? It just feels like the change is in its early process. And I'm fascinated because I do not know what this team is going to do in free agency. Just do not know. All right, comments tonight and every night brought to you by the good folks over at Shmunez Vision. Tell you one thing, they know what's going on when it comes to your eyes. No doubt about it. I'll never forget, 8.5 years ago, just waddled in. Okay? I was like a little penguin. I waddled right in, and I was like, Doc, how are you? Dr. Neil Shmunez. He's like, I'm doing great. He looked at my eyes and says, brother, you got an issue. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. He's like, you're not fine. It's cancerous, and it needs to be removed out of your right eye immediately. Picked up the phone, called my boss, said, take the next morning off, get it done. I did. Performed by Dr. Neil Shmunez. It's never comforting when you're told that you're going under. Doesn't matter what the process may be. He made me feel comfortable. He fully took me through it all and explained to me what was going to be done, and it was done. He performed the surgery. I have an appointment, as a matter of fact, coming up in very early May. I visit a few times a year. My eyesight is perfect. 20/20, and I want to thank the good folks at Shmunez Vision for that. Dr. John Hunt is there. Dr. Catherine Shmunez is there. Regardless of what it is as far as your eyes, you want that same feeling. Go to the very best. Shmunez Vision, or check them out online by going to, or check them out on Instagram by going to Shmunez Vision and grab the testimonials. Coming up next, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports NFL. He was at the Combine. He had some really good write-ups. I'm a big fan of Ryan Roberts. I've had him on for the last couple of years. Let's do Jaguars-related only draft talk. It's on the other side.
I'm Tom Coughlin.
Other than family, the greatest feeling in the world is when all of a sudden you realize you're the world champion.
I'm 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Elevate your happy hour at the new Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road. Inspired by the vibrant and diverse culinary traditions of the Mediterranean, Dua has a unique South Florida vibe and welcoming atmosphere. Savor handcrafted cocktails and delicious happy hour specials every Monday to Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. Whether kicking back after work or starting your night in style, Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road is where good times and great flavors meet. DuaLoungeJax.com.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cat's Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010xl.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Hey, this is David with Royal Pest Services. The fact that we've been bundled up the past month gave us an idea. Let's bundle up also with our Centricon and Pest Control bundle, starting at $349. Visit RoyalPestServices.com for your free inspection.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web. Precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. In Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Ryan Roberts does an outstanding job covering the NFL draft. He is with A to Z Sports NFL, and he is fresh back from beautiful Indianapolis to give us the very latest with the NFL Combine. He joins Rick Ballou. Ryan, always a pleasure. How you been?
I'm good, Rick. I'm good, man. Long time. How's everything going for you?
And everything's great here. You kidding me? Couldn't ask for much better. But I just don't know with this new regime, everything in place, brand spanking new, which direction the Jaguars are going to go. I happen to be all about offense. You've got a franchise quarterback who hasn't played like one. Build an offensive line, give him more weapons, find out if this quarterback can be taken to the elite level. However, it feels like they're going to go defense at number 5, Ryan.
Yeah, that's what kind of where I'm at this moment. I mean, I would love to tell you that there's just like a no doubt like offensive tackle or wide receiver 1 at number 5, to go with a Brian Thomas Jr. and to really load up with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence and all these guys and kind of get the best out of them potentially. But it's just it's a defensive heavy draft, right? Like when you talk about the best positions in the class outside of running back, it is defensive tackle, edge is really good, corner is really good. So I think for the most part, it's been interior defensive line for me at number 5 overall for Jacksonville. I've mixed in some corner. It is a very defensive top-heavy draft, and if Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State, didn't get hurt this year, maybe we would be having a conversation with him at number 5. But I'm just not sure that there's an offensive lineman right there at 5 that you'd be comfortable with unless you're planning on trading back from 5.
The tape on Mason Graham is outstanding. His weight the other day was 296. To me, that's an undersized interior defensive lineman. What do you make of him in Jacksonville at 5?
Yeah, so I was told Mason in 2023 was in the 320, 325 range. He dropped down slightly and wanted to be in better shape this past year, but still played around 315. He was planning on, and this happens every year at the Combine, guys drop weight to run fast, right? So he dropped a bunch of weight and got down to 296 because he was planning on running right up until the last moment, and then unfortunately he wasn't able to with a little bit of a nagging injury. So the play weight is about 315. So I'm not overly worried about the 296 he showed up at. I mean, if you've watched him, and I know you have, he's an impending force on the he's an imposing force, I should say, on the interior, and his playing weight is much higher than 296. So unless there's been some kind of weird eating disorder that's kind of been thrown in there, I feel pretty good with Mason Graham being able to play about 310, 315 without any problem.
Travis Hunter, there's always a lot of talk, and by the way, what do you believe he should be, a wide receiver or a corner?
I think he should be a corner. If he wants to play some on both sides, I think that the best scenario for me is that he's a full-time corner that plays maybe 10, 15 snaps a game at wide receiver, maybe in some high-leverage situations. Because, for me, Rick, it's easier to be a part-time receiver than it is to be a part-time corner. Playing in the secondary, so much communication, so many coverage variations. When we're see this look, they motion, we have to roll to a different look. There's just a lot of miscellaneous things that happen on the back end in a split second, and I think communication is so important. So I think corner, full-time, and if you want to sprinkle in some offense at times, I think that's the best scenario. But the fascinating thing, and there's a report that came out today, and I think that there's some validity to it, if he is forced to play the majority of one versus the other, I think he might try to play wide receiver just because we're still at the point of if and when he gets to a second contract, as long as he is what we think he is, he's potentially going to make a whole lot more at wide receiver than he is at corner. So it's going to be a fascinating debate, but I do think corner is his best position, and then you can sprinkle it to wide receiver if that's what you want to do.
His hands were smaller than expected, 9 1/8. Does that change things, or is this guy so freakishly talented it really doesn't matter?
Yeah, I don't think it matters just because the size variables are always important, but I think it's important only if there's a problem on film. So what I mean is if an offensive tackle has struggles with playing outside his frame and playing on an island, and then you notice, hey, he's got shorter arms, it's probably a little bit of an indicator that is not going to be successful on the next level, and not going to be able to translate well. For Travis Hunter, I have no issues with his ball skills or his hand strength. He does those things very well. So I think whether he's a wide receiver or corner, I'm not going to be worried about the hand size just because I think the ball skills is actually on both sides of the ball is one of the best things he does, and he doesn't have an issue with drops. He is a very short-handed receiver on both sides of the ball.
Ryan Roberts, our guest, covers the NFL draft from A to Z Sports NFL. You had a lot of great coverage from the Combine. One thing you wrote about was character-related issues, perhaps more prominent this year than in years past. Is that the case with this year's draft class?
It seems like it's in the defensive end, like the edge group this year for whatever reason. Like the main character that I've come across, and you're talking about in that article, was about James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, who some people have questions with as far as like just his want to be great, right? Like not character in the sense of like we're not talking about like anything legal wise, right? Like we're not talking about him necessarily being a knucklehead off the field or anything like that. It's just, does he want to be great, right? Like there's some questions of like the maturity and that type of thing. And then Mike Green obviously is dealing with the 2 accusations in the past, sexual assaults and all that type of stuff that he's still kind of dealing with. And then the other one I mentioned was Walter Nolan, who's a defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman for Ole Miss. So for whatever reason, man, all the off-field stuff or the character concerns that I've been able to dig up so far, it seems to be in the defensive line room for some reason. It's a little bit interesting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Right before the Combine began, at number 5, I was all about Tet McMillan for the reasons that I identified at the very, very beginning. But the fact that he didn't run and is not going to run and that speed separation is really a concern. Is Tet McMillan going to free fall here in the first round?
I think he's going to go a little later than some people think. Yeah, I don't see him going in the top 10. You know, maybe somewhere in the mid-teens, maybe 20, like somewhere around that range. I would say if I was a betting man, I'd say like somewhere from 15 to 22, like in that ballpark. Because, like you said, it's not always an indicator that they aren't going to test well. Because like if he played for Ohio State, right, and he just played a 16-game season, and you know, season got done late, and you're late to the training and all that type of stuff. Like I get it, right, but Arizona was a bad football team this year. They didn't make a bowl game. So he's had a couple months here to you know, get himself in shape and get himself trained up and be able to potentially run. And honestly, the 2 biggest questions I have on him, because I think that he's a great catch point receiver. I think he's got great hands. I think he's deceptive. Like there's a lot to like about Tet McMillan. But the 2 things that I kind of come back to are I don't think the long speed's great, and I think he's pretty average getting in and out of breaks. And the fact that he didn't want to run 40, didn't want to do the short area stuff, like that's concerning to me, right? It feels like there's something that he's hiding there. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you can be comfortable with it or not. I mean, there's a world that even if he does run a 4.6 flat, he can still end up being a good football player. But for me, if I'm investing in a top 5, top 10 pick into a wide receiver, I want a guy that's able to create separation in multiple ways, and I just don't know if that's Ted. I know he can create separation in the air, but can he do so as a route runner or as an athlete? That's where my concern lies with him.
Wide receivers have been so dominant recently in the draft. I mean, just player after player after player. It really doesn't feel like that's the case this year. At least it's not top-heavy. So whether it's at 36 for the Jags or one of their third-round picks, give us a couple of wide receivers that you could see them coveting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the quality of this wide receiver class is in the depth this year, because you said it perfectly. It is not a top-heavy class at all. I know there's going to be some people that, you know, like Ted. They like Luther Burden potentially in the first round. Emeka Egbuka is a really good football player overall, maybe not super flashy. But I think that the value comes further down. Like if we're talking about day 2 wide receivers, I love Jalen Royals out of Utah State. He's one of my favorite players in this class. He is about 205 pounds, pretty physically dense dude who can run. I mean, he just ran like 4.42 at the Combine. He's coming from a smaller school, but he is, I feel like just about every game showcased that can translate despite him coming from a smaller school. There's 2 kids from Maryland this year I think are super interesting in different ways. One's Tay Felton, who's a little bit of he's like 6'1.5" and 186 pounds, so he's a little bit of a lighter kid, but he just ran 4.3 something at the Combine. He's your true vertical separator, a guy that's really nice and sleek in and out of breaks as well. And then they also have his teammate is Caden Prather, who is 6'3 plus, 210 plus pounds, ran 4.46 at the Combine. There is upside with him as a route runner, but what you are investing in right now is he's a height weight speed guy, right? Like he's 6'3", 210, 215. He can run for days. He can make plays on the vertical plane. He might not be the separator that his teammate Felton is, but a guy that I think in the 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th round, depending on just how the board falls, I think a couple of those Maryland kids could be super interesting.
I got 30 seconds. Last question for you, Ryan. The former regime would not go near Will Campbell because of his arm length or lack thereof. I don't get the sense that that's James Gladstone. Now, he's projected as a guard. You don't draft the guard at number 5. Can you see Jacksonville trading out, moving down a few spots, and taking Campbell?
Yeah, it's very possible. I think that Campbell, for some people, will be a tackle, and I think that there's a lot of people that do want him to be a tackle. But overall, I mean, the kid has phenomenal hand strength. He's really nuanced, and he's a good athlete overall, right? So at worst, you're getting a plus starter, maybe a potential Pro Bowler inside, or else he could be a solid tackle. So I think that it's a good investment a little bit further down if you can make that happen.
Ryan Roberts, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get him from A to Z Sports NFL. And let me pull up once again his Twitter. You can get him on Twitter at Rise and Draft. That's Rise and Draft on Twitter. Always enjoy draft conversations with Ryan Roberts. Thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely, Rick. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
We'll do it again real soon. Yeah, no doubt about it. Always appreciate it. So some really good stuff there, and that gives you fresh material to dive on in on. I was going to save this for Friday. I was. But screw that. Let's get it out right now. Let's just get it out right now. What is the one thing that the Jaguars cannot let pass them by early next week? What is the one position? What is the one player that they cannot, in free agency, allow to get by? Obviously, free agency changes your draft. If you go out and overpay for a starter, then that takes away what you're going to do in 50 days during the draft. We all get that. But we still don't know. Is this team going to be major spenders and go out and get some starters that are difference makers? Or are they going to kind of settle in a little bit? But let me ask you that question right now. What is the one thing that the Jaguars cannot afford to let pass them by? Several ways to join us. Text line 641-1010, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. You can get us on YouTube tonight, 1010XL into the night, and as well on Twitter or X at 1010XL.
Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
Top 10 teams tangle in Tuscaloosa. Gators Crimson Tide. Tomorrow night at 7 on 1010 AM.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my success with back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Florida homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Spend $6,000 and get up to $600 off. $15,000 up to $2,000 off. $20,000 up to $3,000 off. This deal ends March 31st. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
I'm Carl. I'm 68 years old, and I lost 40 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. And looking at pictures, I realized that my color wasn't good. I looked bloated, constantly tired, out of breath. It got to the point where I decided it was time to pick up the phone and call Awaken 180. The combination of the diet and the coaching really pushed me over the top. My self-confidence soared. I'm walking. I'm working out. Instead of 68, I feel like I'm 28. I just had my annual physical, and my doctor looked at my blood pressure and he said, "What did you do? What happened?" And I explained that I'm on the Awaken 180 program. I've never felt so good in my life. And as somebody that sometimes likes to take the shortcut, I didn't have to do that with this program. Awaken 180 is my solution for weight loss.
Carl's solution for weight loss, my solution for weight loss. Matt Hayes here. Lower blood pressure, increased confidence, feeling years younger. Want the same results? Then do what we did and make your own at Awaken180weightloss.com.
Get your Irish up.
The first St. Patrick Parade was right here in St. Augustine in the year 1601. Join the fun Saturday, March the 8th at 10 a.m. Be sure and wear your green proudly. More at CelticParade.com. Sponsored by St. Charles Kelly, PDC.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
With the sun setting earlier, Hidden Hills Golf Club has expanded their twilight specials so you can take advantage of our special afternoon rates and get your round in before dark. Book today at hiddenhillsgc.com and enjoy this beautiful fall weather.
I'm Chris Campione. Auto accidents can leave you feeling lost and overwhelmed. But at Campione Law, we're here to guide you with a personal touch through every step of the process. We don't get paid unless you get paid. CampioneLaw.com.
Count on Campione. Campione Law.
Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Fernandina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and must-try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com, Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com. That's Rocket.com.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com. Powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Haymaker Coffee is a local coffee brand to help fuel your daily grind. Why Haymaker? It's fuel for the morning hustle, the late night, and every step of the way. Bold flavors for the bold city. Online at haymakercoffeeco.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, former Jaguar great Alan Lazard is available. House cleaning in New York. Davantae Adams is gone. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is gone. Crosstown, Saquon Barkley. My goodness, 2 years, $41.2 million. $32 million guaranteed at signing. He's got an opportunity to earn, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 million more based on incentives. Still in Denmark. How are you doing tonight?
All good, man. All good over here, man.
Yeah. What is the one thing the Jaguars cannot allow to pass them by early next week?
I would say having let go of a reliable someone in the secondary, rather it be corner or safety. Who that person is, I'm not sure, but you can't let 2 days go by and have other teams jump on, a Jair Alexander or a DB, right, and just let him go, and then you're left with your palms up and not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't make a move for Jair Alexander simply because he's only played 18 games in the last 3 years, but Anthony Campanile is going to be very familiar with that because he was a position coach last year in Green Bay. Javon Holland has made a lot of sense. We've seen him coming over from Miami to Jacksonville. And again, I really do believe that the Jaguars are going to address safety. The only problem that I have is when I rank what they need, Safety to me is fifth. All right. Again, it's 1 and 1A for me. Number 2 wide receiver and the right guard. That's 1 and 1A. Then you clearly need a number 3 cornerback, right? I mean, a number 2 cornerback to go opposite Tyson Campbell. I don't think there's any question about that. And, you know, where I am at, I wouldn't mind at all going back to the well and grabbing another offensive lineman. I remain feeling this way that no, 4/5 of this offensive line is not set. We read it in print. We see. I just believe that you have to improve along the offensive line. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Then I would get the safety at number 5. But this is a pretty good free agency class. Javon Holland is very highly regarded. You know, we've seen reports this week. Carlton Davis as a corner, mentioned yesterday by Jeremy Fowler, a guy that is going to be, you know, is going to make some big time money. There's no question about that. But is Jacksonville interested in the cornerback? To me, that is fascinating. The guard position all of a sudden is thinning out a little bit, right? Trey Smith gone. Trade today for Jonah Jackson gone. Will Fries is so highly regarded. He was hurt last year in a game against Jacksonville. You know my feeling on guys coming off of injuries. I don't want to go there. Becton, very talented guy. Okay, weight is always a concern. Underperformed early in his career, coming out of Louisville, no longer a tackle, now a guard, just won a Super Bowl. Is there a Super Bowl hangover by winning and now you get paid? And listen, you watched how that happened around here with Julius Thomas. You also saw a very good contributor in a guy like Malik Jackson. Byron Murphy is another corner who has been mentioned a great deal. So it is. It's a very interesting cornerback class. Mike Jackson, a corner from Carolina, has been kicked around a little bit. So, you know, it begins to thin out once the market sets. And that's what I hope Jacksonville does address right out of the gate. I still want an offensive guard. I do. And I hear you when you say they've overspent at offensive guard before, and it backfired. It's the truth. It backfired with Zane Beadles. It backfired with Andrew Norwell. It backfired with Brandon Sheriff. And if you can say that they were serviceable, that's not enough for me. They didn't play up to the contract. And that's what's disappointing. So do you go after a Kevin Zeitler, or a guy who's 30, 31 years of age, a proven veteran? Do you overpay to get him? Or do you address other needs and then say, we will absolutely take care of the offensive line in the NFL draft? To me, that is too risky. But we don't know what's going on right now with James Gladstone. The other part of this, I think more and more players are going to be released here this week and early next week. Just seems like teams are saying goodbye to players. So there could be some offensive linemen that are available. For instance, the Jonah Jackson situation was kind of surprising. He just completed 1 year of a 3-year deal. And LA was like, we got to free up cash. Let's move him. I mean, you gave this guy $51 million over 3 years, and then a year later, you say goodbye to him for a 6th-round pick? I look at how his value dropped for one organization. Certainly, Chicago feels like, you know, they got the steal of the draft or the steal of pre-free agency by making that move today. All right, this is a Josh Sweat one, third DE, but he's going to get paid, man. That Super Bowl, Josh Sweat's going to get enormous money. I love, this is the 88-89, I love the enthusiasm of getting a guy like Josh Sweat. But do you spend that amount of money for a guy that is basically your third defensive end? Or we still don't know what this defense is going to be all about. Can they position it in a way where you can have Sweat on one edge and Hines Allen on the other, and you move Trayvon Walker inside in pass rush situations? In a normal base defense, which is run less than 50%, I don't know. Can Hines Allen be an outside linebacker? Can Trayvon Walker be an outside linebacker? It feels like we've asked these players to do an awful lot. 2 defensive linemen, 2 offensive, 1 wide receiver, 1 CB, all in free agency, first 4 pick. All right. Well, I was asking for 1, but 2 defensive linemen, 2 offensive linemen. I love that. I do. I love that. A receiver and a corner. Yeah, you have to address all of those positions. No one is arguing with you There's absolutely no question. I said defensive tackle when I did it earlier, right? I mean, obviously it was, I don't know if I made a mistake there, an error, but my 5 are in order: wide receiver, offensive guard, 1 and 1A, 3 a defensive tackle, 4 a number 2 corner, 5 a safety. I think I might have gone on about a second offensive lineman. If so, that is my error, and I do apologize. 4704 Blue. I'd say defensive line needs to be addressed within the first 2 rounds and offensive line skill position round. Okay, but that's, again, we're getting into the draft here. I'm talking about next week. Let me clarify that again for our second hour. What can't the Jaguars allow to get past them next week? I'm going to roll in here on Monday at 6 o'clock, God willing. And hopefully the Jaguars made some moves during the legal tampering period. Hope you hear that, you know, this guy's coming, this guy's coming, this guy. It doesn't become official until Wednesday, March 12th, but I want Jacksonville to be proactive. And I just mentioned 5 positions of need. I don't think they're going to address anything until the 5th position of need, a safety. And then if I was going to say something else, I would say a 4th position of need in my rankings, a cornerback. If they come out of here next week with a starting corner and a starting safety, I think most of you will be very happy about that. I'm going to be disappointed because I think that still says with the 5th overall pick, they're going defensive line. They're going Mason Graham. That means their top 2 decisions in free agency and their top pick in the NFL draft is a safety, a corner, and a defensive tackle. The defense was awful, absolutely awful last year. Last in turnovers. I mean, every statistical category, they were terrible. But you still have to fix this offense. You're still going to get a right guard, and you're still going to get another wide receiver. And I hope that's not the case. But I kind of get a feeling that it is. The only glimmer of hope that I do have, and I love this. To me, it was the most important parts of the introduction of Liam Cohen and the introduction of James Gladstone. They both went, I believe, out of normal coach speak, or whatever you want to call it, to really talk about how important that offensive line is when it comes to protecting Trevor Lawrence. That's what is going to sit with me more than anything else. So whether a trade's coming, whether a big splash in free agency's coming, whether they think they can address this with a couple of picks in the draft, do not know. Let's begin our second hour, though, by getting more from you on that. Again, when I get in here on Monday night, the early splashes are going to be made around the NFL. What position or what player can the Jaguars not allow to get away? That's coming up in hour number 2.
The Players Championship is the biggest PGA Tour event you can win.
If you can't make it to the Players, let 1010XL bring the Players to you with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates. Teed up by Renewal by Anderson, custom windows and doors.
The Deck Guys.
And Taco Lou.
Here's Linda Beaver.
It's a new year with new goals, but let's face it, not all resolutions are easy to keep. Maybe you promised yourself you'd eat healthier, but pizza still seems like a better idea. Or you said you'd read more, but your favorite show just launched a new season. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we can help you keep your New Year's resolution. We offer the biggest selection, best prices, and the easiest car buying experience. Let's make a resolution to visit Beaver Toyota or Beaver Chevrolet, where we'll wow you with a new ride for the new year.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So, when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Plumbing problem, septic emergency, HVAC system not doing its job? Don't panic. Call the pros at Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. From leaks, clogged drains to septic installations and air conditioning repairs, we've got the tools and expertise to get it done right. Dial 904-862-6769 now and let our friendly team handle the dirty work so you don't have to. Remember, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166171, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Buying a diamond, wedding band, or piece of fashion jewelry in Jacksonville? You have 2 choices. You can go to locally owned Beard's Diamonds, or you can go to one of those mega national chain jewelry stores. The national chains are pretty much all the same. In fact, did you know that some of them are owned by the same conglomerate? Yes, the same Wall Street company owns all the big names. So if you're looking for extreme value with genuine personal attention, come experience the Beard's Diamond difference. At Beard's, our diamonds come straight from the source. We hand select each one for maximum brilliance. We don't have to apply corporate markups and tack on salespeople commissions, so we beat the chains on price every single day. Beard's has the strongest warranties, not gotcha clauses and fine print. Beard's has all the top designers, including Tocory and Veragio. Beard's doesn't have out-of-state regional managers calling about sales quotas. We are all local, family-owned with total freedom to do what's right for our customers. Beard's Diamonds, all the selection, quality, value, and service you want from local people, accountable only to you. Beard's in the St. John's Town Center.
Here's good advice from your friends here at 1010XL. High Flying Jacko here, and the next time you need to send a gift for a birthday, anniversary, wedding, or just for the fun of it, call on the experts at Kuhn Flowers. For over 75 years, Kuhn Flowers does it right.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills.
Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Fired up to be with you till 8 o'clock tonight. A lot of great stuff out there for your Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to get to it in 1 minute. Real quick, the ACC did agree today, along with Florida State and Clemson, on their ongoing litigation. It has come to an end, a settlement that changes revenue distribution to what they're calling the ratings-based model. All right, teams who generate better ratings will get more money. In the case of Florida State, Clemson football related could be as much as $15 to $20 million a year. They also significantly did reduce exit penalties, which is very important. The grant of rights continues to be the year 2036. Florida State was talking about paying as much as $700 million to get out of the ACC. That has been reduced right here now today to $165 million. And it will also decline yearly by $18 million. Okay? So, I mean, the Big Ten, the SEC haven't exactly been knocking down the door for Florida State or Clemson. I think it's safe to say they are absolutely going to play this year. I'd be surprised if anything happened by 2026. Maybe 2027 at some point there could be some movement. And again, instead of paying $700 million, it's $165 plus or minus $18 million a year. And we'll see how everything is distributed based on this ratings-based model, which is how you rank ratings-wise with television. So that is the latest there. A lot of wasted time, very expensive on both sides. And it's weird. The way I look at it, I don't think anyone's completely happy. I don't think Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference, is happy. I don't think the other 18 schools, or in this case, the other 16 schools, are happy. And I don't think Florida State and Clemson is entirely happy. It's better for all parties, but I don't think it's perfect. And if anything more develops on this, we will certainly let you know. I have asked, what is the one thing you can't let get by early next week when legal tampering does begin? The 1201 says Ballou, they cannot pass on Myles Garrett. What's that going to cost? Let's just throw it right out there. Say goodbye. Trayvon Walker or one of the two edge has to be involved in the trade.
Have to be Hines Allen, right, with the contract. Have to match the contract somewhat.
But Cleveland, is going to, although Cleveland's going to have to be forced to pay as well. Because this is year 4 for Trayvon Walker. Jacksonville has until, I think it's May 2nd, May 4th, whatever it is, to decide whether or not to pick up that 5th-year contract extension that is only available for first-round picks. It's a team-only option, and to me, that's an automatic. They're not going to do that with Devin Lloyd. But I would think it would cost Trayvon Walker in what? 2 first-round picks? I mean, he's so talented. He's so good. But, wow, what a risk. I mean, you are giving up so much to get this player. Yeah, I kind of see him ending up in, don't you kind of see him ending up in Vegas or Dallas or, Philadelphia's got a lot of prominent free agents off their defensive line that Vic Fangio is losing, maybe Philly. Bottom line is that Cleveland's like, hell no. Well, we're not going to trade him. Interesting. 4704 Blue, I would look at Nick Bolton for linebacker. Since it's not that deep in the draft, in my opinion, plus I'm hoping for a 3-4. I mean, Nick Bolton's a very good football player. Again, a guy that oozes with winning experience. I may be in the minority here, but I think the Jaguars are okay at linebacker, okay? And this all depends upon what scheme they use. Right now, it feels like Devin Lloyd's the odd man out, and I get it. You haven't seen Devin Lloyd's, that cap potential hasn't registered yet. I think Devin Lloyd is one of those players that he hasn't been able to trust his football instincts. And going from different defensive scheme year after year is not going to help a guy like Devin Lloyd. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Jaguars traded him next week. I wouldn't. It makes sense not to. It's year 4 of a rookie deal. He's cost effective. You're not picking up the 5th year. But Ventrell Miller has passed him by, and you've got a lot invested in Aloakon. And depending on what scheme the Jaguars run, you could have Walker and Allen back in there. And I hate even saying that. Just even saying that makes me furious. Okay, I want him on the edge. Nick Bolton's a really good football player. That's a good one. Appreciate you getting in with that. That's one I really haven't considered because, again, linebacker for me is nowhere near my pecking order. My order, again, is wide receiver, right guard, defensive tackle, corner, and safety. 4704 Blue, somehow keep Lance and Van Lan, whatever his name is, along with Kirk and the tight end. I imagine you're going with Evan Ingram here. I'd be shocked if they keep both because I think that's going to be addressed. I think it's over for Christian Kirk. And I know he's Trevor's best bud, but I have to look at health. I have to look at being productive. He's a fantastic young man. There's nothing to dislike about Christian Kirk. Very mild-mannered. There's a total lack of leadership in that Jaguars locker room. And Kirk is one in a silent type of way. But his contract is awful, $24 million. It's one of the worst contracts in football. So I think he's gone. I'm not giving up on Evan Ingram. No way. I'm not doing it. Some conversations I've had, there is this wondering about how vertical this offense is going to be. Our buddy Daniel Griffiths put together a really good piece. I don't know if you read it yet. We'll get Daniel on soon about Trevor and just how productive he is with the deep ball compared to the intermediate routes, compared to shorter routes, which is right up there for Trevor Lawrence as one of the major things that needs to be fixed this year, right? He's got to be better with high percentage passes. He can't throw a 100-mile-per-hour Nolan Ryan fastball to Tank Bigsby, who's 10 yards away from him, behind the line of scrimmage. You just can't do it. He needs a little bit more finesse. He needs a little bit more touch. I hope that'll come with Trevor. Last year at this time, we were talking about Trevor Lawrence, and what was it? Protect the ball, protect the ball, protect the ball. Don't fumble. Every quarterback's going to throw a pick. I don't have a problem with picks. All right? Fumbling the ball, I do. Hance is an unrestricted free agent. Cole Van Lannon is actually a restricted free agent. Different terminology there, but Jacksonville has an opportunity. I'll have to look at the definition again of a restricted free agent. I think they have the opportunity to match an offer. We'll have to see. The Jaguars only have 3 restricted free agents. Cole Van Lannon, Tim Jones. That's priority number 1 for some. Get Tim Jones done next week. 4-core special teamer. Has Tim Jones ever made a play? He's gone. The other's Joe Gallis-Harris. So those are your only restricted free agents. You're a special teams guy. Have you ever seen Tim Jones make a play?
No. It's all Ross Matisic.
What's that?
It's all Ross Madison.
Oh, Ross Madison's like the best special teamer in the. I mean, get him done.
Yeah.
He's a Pro Bowler.
By the way, restricted free agent. A player can negotiate with any team, but their current team can match any offer they receive.
Thank you. Thought I was right, but that's why you're here. You look that stuff up and you nail it. You knew that anyway. You didn't even have to look it up.
Yeah, but AI is more smarter than me, so.
AI had Mason Graham running a 3.540. Fastest human being we've ever seen.
That's why I lost all that weight.
I wonder if that's corrected. 5602. I love this. I think it's got to be Drew Dahlman or Javon Holland. We've already talked about Holland, the safety. I mentioned Dahlman either yesterday or late last week. And he is a free agent center with the Falcons. That, to me, would speak volumes of where this team is headed. If you were to go right out and say, Mitch Morse, serviceable guy, grizzled veteran, you're not good enough. Drew Dahlman, I'd love it. I would absolutely love it. To me, that would be a feeling right then that this team knows. You can't fix it all immediately. You just can't. Every team is flawed. Every team has holes. But if you were to address that, to me, that would be maybe the most organizational change that you could expect. And I talked about it last hour. Cohen said it. Gladstone said it. And I loved it. It was the best part of both press conferences. All about the offensive line. Build the wall of Duval. Have the best offensive line that money can buy. And I know they've been burnt before. What was it? 3 years ago, they had the most expensive offensive line in the NFL. It's not for the lack of trying. They've used draft capital, high draft picks, first and second round picks, and they've gone out via free agency. Tell you what this organization has not done is gone after the draft in later rounds. That's scary. And honestly, that is negligent, in my opinion. You've got to bring in a couple of offensive linemen yearly. Cooper Hodges, Javon Foster, Ben Barch, Luke Fortner. I mean, if you weren't a first or second round guy, what? You had Anton in the first, Cam Juwan, and Walker Little second round picks. So, all right, over the last few years, and I guess Cam now is really going back. I mean, that's what, 7-8 years ago with Cam. But you've addressed it early. You haven't late. I hope this organization, absolutely. You know, there are certain positions where you always hear you can find a receiver, you can find a back. You can find offensive linemen. The guy who would have made the most money this year as an offensive lineman is Trey Smith. He was a 6th round pick 5 years ago. Where'd he go again? Ohio State?
That sounds right. Let me check.
I think it is Ohio State. Great program. All right, played in some big-time games, but you can absolutely find offensive linemen. All right, let's take a break. We're going to get much more on this. I just pulled up one, and it says I'll never mind. It doesn't involve me. It's another show. Someone said this guest is trash. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? There is no guest. It's me. It's the host, okay? But it was dated a few days. It was dated a few weeks ago. It's actually pretty funny. At least it was for me. But, hey, I'm just here for you-know-what in grins. I'm just here to have a good time. Let's stay with this, okay? What do you think about Davantae Adams? When you say it to me, it's like, no. It's like, no. Don't want that. Don't want to deal with the headache. Don't want to deal with that. But this team needs some dogs. This team needs some attitude. This team needs some game changers. You put Davantae Adams on the other side of Brian Thomas Jr., it's a quick fix. It's nothing that you're going to set in stone, but you can make it work for a year, hopefully 2. You just hope it's not a Torrey Holt or something along those lines. I think he's got a little bit left in him. And again, Adams might be in a similar situation where he's just looking at this as his last hurrah, and he wants to go what he believes is a perennial playoff team. I read a report about him earlier today going to the New York Giants with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, why would those two want to go and play for the New York Giants? Anything outside of getting paid, that's not the answer. You put Aaron Rodgers and Davantae Adams in New York, they're not going to win in that division. They're not going to win in that conference. You put Davantae Adams here, I think he's got an opportunity to do some things. So if you want to jump in on that as well, you can. While you're at it, what about Chris Godwin? I mean, we're kind of winding down here. We got tonight, we got the next 3 nights, and I have guests scheduled to talk about the combine and the draft and start to use our way towards free agency. But again, when I'm with you on Monday night, hopefully these decisions would have already been made. So right now is the time for you to voice your opinion. Several ways to do it. 641-1010 on our text line. You can get us, and that's brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. Get us tonight on YouTube. Just go to 1010XL on YouTube. And, of course, on Twitter or X at 1010XL.
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
Intercepted. It's Rasheed Mathis to win it for Jacksonville.
This is the home of your team, 1010XL.
This is the sound of turning small bets into legendary wins. Only on the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app. The sound of parlays. The sound of paydays. The sound of watching the game will never be the same. Hard Rock Bet has already paid out millions and millions in parlays to people across Florida. Download Hard Rock Bet now, and if your first bet doesn't win, get up to $100 back as a bonus bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to play. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, Rural Gulf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Pitched by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
How much does a cloud weigh? The answer coming right up.
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates instead of renewing year in and year out. Log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote in minutes.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
According to the National Geological Society, a normal cumulus cloud can weigh up to 1 million pounds, or about 500 tons.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, our EV trucking company is officially in operation.
Andrew's zero-emission trucks are driving the transportation category forward.
We'll make driving safer, easier, and less stressful.
Now our technology needs to keep up with demand.
He needs to put pedal to the metal on hiring more software engineers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com. That's Rocket.com.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
I want to welcome those watching us on YouTube tonight. Railman CT says hello. Always a listener. Michael Burnett with a very good point. Milton Williams or Josh Sweat, veteran championship experience. No doubt on that Jaguars defensive line. Couldn't go bad with either one of those. Thomas Prim says, Rick, I really like the kid from North Dakota State. If he falls at the end of the first round, you take him. Yeah, that's Gray Zabel. I was hoping Jackson could get him at 36, but he is probably moved into the first round. That's most of the, post-combine mock drafts that I have read. Doesn't mean that they're right. But, yeah, there's a guy we need to talk a little bit more about. He was a tackle at North Dakota State, but he worked out at both guard and center during the Senior Bowl, and then as well at the Combine. Mr. Know-It-All says, how you doing, Rick Bill? He put medals next to my name. That is so kind of you. Really appreciate that. Dylan's got some good stuff to give away here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to keep you hanging. 2806, can you believe McManus got an extension? He sucked here. This franchise is cursed. Yeah, he got absolutely paid. I mean, this guy failed here, was brought up against it with flight attendants. And look at him now. 4583 Ballou, considering your budget and what you have to fill Ballou's top 5 positions, what does GM Ballou come out of free agency with? I need a right guard. But I feel better about that in the draft than I do in free agency. But my attention's on Will Campbell. And if I say Will Campbell, people are going to drive off the road right now. Because he's got short arms. And you're going to tell me he is not worthy of the 5th pick. And it's hard to argue with that. Unless you're going to be John Hanna, unless you're going to be Larry Allen, you don't select a guard at number 5. You just don't. So I'd like to get a guard, but it's waned a little bit. My most decorated guy was Trey Smith. He's gone. You know, I really like the Jonah Jackson situation. I said in the first hour, James Gladstone was with him a year ago. The fact that it did not happen speaks volumes, in my opinion. He thinks they can get better, or he wasn't worth the amount of money. Guard and wide receiver are the two positions that I would covet on Monday. Absolutely. Without question, that is where I would go. Because I'm all about offense here. If they could get those two positions, I'd be tickled. If I was a betting man, I would say absolutely, plan on getting a safety. That one almost feels guaranteed, in my opinion. All right, there was a couple here that I wanted to get that I thought I get so many in here, and I do appreciate it. I really do. I don't know what the heck I did with them. Sometimes it gets really cluttered here in front of me. Let's try this one. 1942 Blue. We are so thin in the secondary, we can't afford to not sign a player there. Yeah, and again, if I was setting betting odds out of the 5 positions that I've identified, wide receiver, right guard, defensive tackle, corner, and safety, those 5 positions of need ranked in that order, I would say safety first, corner second. I think that's where they go. Plentiful at both positions if you strike early. The Carlton Davis thing is intriguing. Ryan Young is intriguing. Santi Samuel Jr. is intriguing. Javon Holland is intriguing. There are other safeties. I think that is where they go. What do you have for us over there? You're in such a great mood tonight. What are you giving out?
Got a pair of tickets to the Celtic Music and Heritage Festival on March 8th and 9th, downtown St. Augustine. You give me a call, 641-1010, and you will have a trivia question that you'll have to answer from Rick.
Everyone calls it Celtic, except for, of course, when you go deep into the bowels of Boston, where they refer to it as Celtic. But it is the month of the Irish. We know that. All right. Congratulations, Jimmy Johnson. He announced his retirement yesterday after 31 years at Fox. He is one of only 3 coaches in the history of the game to win a national championship in college and win a Super Bowl. Barry Switzer did it as well. There's one other, historically speaking, who has won a Super Bowl and who has won a national championship. Dylan, let me know when you get that answer, 641-1010. Best of luck to you folks out there. 5022, Ricky B, it's Bill Hickey here. I'd like to take either Adams or Godwin because I think it would totally change the complexion of our offense overnight. Yes, we need a stronger offensive line, but playmakers will make the difference. I would want Godwin over Adams because he's 4 years younger, but he is coming off that injury. And again, I feel somewhat hypocritical because of everything I've said about the mistakes the Jaguars made last year in free agency that were injury related. I think Davantae Adams has a little something left in the tank. If they made the move with either one of those two, I'd be happy with it. No doubt about it. 85-24 Blue, we need a left tackle. Please don't tell me we're banking on Little. All right, everything I just said about center and Dave Dahlman, if they went out and got a left tackle, then again, their opinion, Walker Little's not good enough. He was not a James Gladstone signing. He was a Trent Baalke signing. We were all surprised when that came in. I think Walker Little was probably surprised when that came in. I've seen some recent numbers on the improvement of Walker Little, and I want to believe it. I want to buy in. But come on, we can't talk about Walker Little without something running through your head that sounds like this. He gets injured all the time. And that's a big concern. It doesn't make a lot of sense to say goodbye to him right after signing that contract. You know, you keep him around as your swing tackle. But I'm looking for messages here. I'm looking, for a trend-setting organizational change. And if you were to go out and get a left tackle, or if you were to go out and get the center from Atlanta, Dahlman, I mean, that to me would say it more than anything else that this team did. Whether they went out and got Davantae Adams, whether they went out and got Chris Godwin, whether they went out and paid top money for Carlton Davis, more than anything, if they were to make one of those two moves, a left tackle or center, that would be pretty cool. And I say pretty cool about the center position. I don't want to sit here and give up on Walker Little, okay? I think he can be a good player. I do. Poor man just can't stay healthy. And I think you have to take that into consideration. I mean, that's the reason why I don't want to keep Christian Kirk around here anymore. The guy can't stay healthy, man. Look at his numbers the last 2 years. He's also dropped some big balls, man. He's dropped some important balls. We have a winner.
Yes, Mr. John.
Mr. John won. Do you know the answer?
He did. It was Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, ladies and gentlemen.
Pete Carroll was so close to winning multiple Super Bowls and multiple national titles. 1 yard on that 4th and 1 to Lendale White.
Highsmith with the tackle on second down, and then the
Malcolm Butler interception.
Malcolm Butler pick. Let me tell you something about Pete Carroll. What an outstanding human being. The 7 years I worked in Chicago, we owned and operated stations in Miami, Chicago, New York, Boston, and Los Angeles. We were the home of the Trojans in L.A. And that was when Pete Carroll got there with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and them all, and he made these players available all the time. And I would have Pete Carroll on my show all the time. Just a really good, down-to-earth dude. And a lot of people forget this. He was like the 8th choice for USC. Totally rebuilt that program. We'll see what he does now in Vegas. What are they going to do with the quarterback? Some talk of Russell Wilson. You had the whole Stafford thing, which blew up, obviously. Aaron Rodgers to Vegas? Nah, I don't see that. Jameis Winston to Vegas? I don't see that. Sam Darnold to Vegas? And what's Minnesota going to do with Sam Darnold? You want to give him $35, $40 million a year? You drafted J.J. McCarthy. Don't you got to find out? Aren't you glad that you're not part of a quarterback question right now with this team? It's not a question, okay? Instead, it's a point. And the point is, make them better. Saw a lot of people ripping Mike McCoy today. Didn't have a great relationship with Trevor Lawrence. He was named as, the quarterback's coach in Tennessee. I'm like, what? I'm like, when I sat with him, man, I was like, Trevor throwing the ball and making all these mistakes. And Mike McCoy was like, he didn't bow up, but he was like telling me that things that I saw were not true. I know you weren't producing the show then, but it was remarkable. We played it, and to our listeners nightly, you remember it. He was like, Trevor never made a mistake. I'm like, I watch him throw interceptions, and it's not Trevor's fault. It was someone else. It's like Mike McCoy totally had his back.
Seems like the NFL coaching profession is just like every other profession. Like, someone, they've been around a while. It's just recycled. Like it really, your performance kind of matters, but not really. If you're friends with enough people, you hang around.
It was almost like it's Mike McCoy's one opportunity all year to interview, and he's a former head coach, and that he's not going to be in a position where anything negative comes out of his mouth. But I thought it was beyond ridiculous. If not, I wouldn't be mentioning it tonight. It was, if you could have had a lie detector machine on him while he was giving me these answers, it would have gone completely bonkers. It's like, I know Mike McCoy knows a hell of a lot more about the quarterback position in football than I do, but you were making it seem like I have never watched the Jaguars play a game, or when I did, I had 18 Pabst Blue Ribbons in me watching the game. It was sickening. It was beyond believable. But anyway, he's in the division. Which Jimmy Johnson would you rather be, football coach or NASCAR driver? I'd much rather be the NASCAR driver. Isn't he like 40 years younger? Right? And Jimmy, I think, has been spoken for a long time. If you're a NASCAR driver, Jimmy Johnson, you can still run and rip, right? With all of those groupies. Get Cup. Let Kirk go. Need experienced offensive line to protect Trevor. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about, go get Cooper Kupp. Dylan and I were talking about it at the show today. Go get Hunter Renfrow. I think you're talking about 4th and 5th wide receivers. I want a number 2. A reinvigorated Cooper Kupp, maybe. We watched him win a Triple Crown a couple of years ago, win a Super Bowl. I just don't know at this point as a number 2. I'm going to say no. Now, if you want to bring him in, you cut Kirk, you want to bring him in, address number 2, and then all of a sudden Kupp can maybe work as your starting slot with Parker Washington, or becomes the guy that is clearly a backup at 4 or 5. Okay. If it's cost effective, okay, that's fine. But no, not as the number 2. Going to disagree with you there. Let's come on back. Final thoughts right here on this Tuesday night. My goodness, man, what a great time of year. There's so much happening right now with this organization. Every once in a while I got to slap myself because it feels so different after a bad year. Right? And, to hang on to Bulky for 2.5 weeks and just to feel, you couldn't feel anything in this city. You felt nothing. It felt dead. And when you made that move, all of a sudden, realistically, mistakes are going to be made because everyone in position, their top 5 positions, are first-year individuals, first-year EVP, first-year GM, first-year head coach, first-year offensive coordinator, first-year defense coordinator. You got to make mistakes, okay? It doesn't matter. I mean, there is a totally new feeling about this football team, and people are buying in. You got to be buying tickets. You got to be getting yourself – and, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for Jaguars fans. Can you imagine what this thing still would have been like if Bulky was here and they didn't add Baselli and it was Liam Cohen? And I think there would have been a little bit of a buzz with Cohen, but that's all changed. And it's really made for, I think an incredible February, and it's leading in here to an even better month, of course, as we roll through the 4th day of March.
The world will be watching Ponte Vedra.
And the Scheffler victory train just keeps on rolling.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Teed up by Roundtree Sauce,
Surfside Pools,
and Performance Painting
on 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Toyota, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. We're proud to offer a lifetime warranty, lifetime oil changes, and lifetime customer service. We're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine, where we're ready to give you peace of mind for a lifetime. We're here to wow you.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best. without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
You don't think this would be a good moment to text somebody?
There's never a bad moment to share your opinion on the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Share your opinion
as soon as possible
at 641-1010.
Mia O'Brien here for Pro Jacks Roofing. Here at the Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Pro Jacks Roofing. Mike's been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get a recording, you get Mike himself. Find Mike's cell on ProJacksRoofingFL.com. That's ProJacksRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third string option. Call in the starter with Mike at Pro Jacks Roofing.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can stand, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can stand, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
The LPGA Stars of Tomorrow are at the Epson Tours Atlantic Beach Classic, presented by Access Golf, March 6th through the 8th at Atlantic Beach Country Club. Tickets available at AtlanticBeachClassic.com. See the ladies shine on the First Coast.
Living on Amelia Island? Having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mocama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect pilsners and lagers, matching memories and some Mocama magic is what it's all about. Mocama Beer Company in Fernandina Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit DreamFindersHomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, a lot of transactions today around the NFL. Teams getting ahead of the legal tampering period, which of course does start on Monday. Saquon Barkley becomes the highest paid running back in the history of the league. $41.2 million over 2 years. $36 million went into his pocket today after signing the contract. Davantae Adams released. Is there interest here in Duval? Former Jaguar Allen Lazard is free to seek a trade. We talked about it last night, but it was finalized today. Chris Godwin not franchised. He's available. Reports say that Tampa's going to do whatever they can to get him back, but he's still available. Only 2 players franchised this year, 8 a year ago. Been at least 6 a year since 2019. So teams just not doing that. Of course, the 2 that were franchised, to me, it would have been my top overall free agency selection in Trey Smith, the right guard with Kansas City. T. Higgins tagged as well. Also a trade today with a guy that we've been talking on a lot about. That's Jonah Jackson. Los Angeles Rams right guard goes to Chicago for a 2025 sixth-round pick. And that doesn't become final, of course, until March 12th. My opinion on this is that James Gladstone was with him the entire year. He saw him up close and personal. For him not to be involved and actually make a trade, I think tells the story. Gladstone thinks he's not worth the money. Gladstone thinks he can get better at right guard. So I'm not looking at that as a disappointment. I'm looking at that more realistically. You know, the guy signed a 3-year, $51 million deal. And then LA says, just come take him. Give me a 6th-round pick. Wow. Talk about your value changing in 1 year. Final thoughts. 4493 says, Boo, give me 2 young studs outside with Tet, BTJ, and throw Ingram and Strange. Then focus on both lines in the defensive backfield. Before the combine began, T-Mac was my guy. Tet McMillan was my guy. He's got big hands, 10 inches, measured, but he didn't run. And I just can't use the 5th pick in the draft for a wide receiver that we do not know if he can run. And reports are he's not going to run during his pro day at Arizona. He's just going to showcase his tape. You have to have speed on the other side. I do. I want a big body wide receiver. This kid's 6'4", 219. His tape is pretty spectacular if you've ever seen it. I know it's viral, all his highlights at Arizona. But at number 5, no. I just can't do it. I mean, he can't run fast enough. Now, does he become a candidate if Jacksonville can trade out of there and drop down in the 1st round? I think he does. But my opinion is that if they go wide receiver and stay at 5, there's no equal there. That your best case scenario, if you can't trade down, would be to get your wide receiver early in the 2nd round, which would be pick number 36. Still going to stick with that opinion, though. I think the Jaguars are going to trade out at number 5. We'll see if that, in fact, does happen, but that is my belief there. Some of these mock drafts that are coming out, Travis Hunter, man, the small hands. I wonder if that's going to affect him. You never really hear about small hands when you're a DB, but you do hear about it when you're a wide receiver. Now, again, his talent is just absolutely off the chart. May not be a factor. It's not like we saw Travis Hunter drop a lot of balls. But, the science would be, no. And our guest earlier tonight, Ryan Roberts, said absolutely. He thinks he'll be a corner in the NFL, not a wide receiver.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Busy Tuesday. A lot of prominent names around the NFL released this afternoon.
Yeah, look, I mean, say what you will about Trent Baalke, but he kind of got one over on Seattle. I know they didn't get a lot for Roy Robertson Harris, but Seattle rented him for, 10 games, and the Jaguars got a draft pick out of that.
Didn't take them long to figure out that he's a jerk.
Well, I was going along the lines of just not a very good football player anymore, but I guess you can say whatever you feel. But yes, that it did not take them long to figure that out.
Rayshawn Jenkins is well available.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Seattle, it was reported that Rayshawn Jenkins was granted permission to seek a trade last week. I guess they're granting anybody permission to seek trades in today's day and age. But no, I mean, look, Davantae Adams is a big name. Philadelphia went to Super Bowl 3 weeks ago, and they're letting everybody in their secondary go. Darius Slay and now James Bradbury. So I said this last night, Rick. Anybody that gets released this week, the team that's releasing them is doing them a solid because they're giving them a 6 or 7 day head start. You can't talk to other teams if you're a free agent until next Monday. But if you get flat out released like these guys did today, well, then you hypothetically could find a new team in the next 6 or 7 days before the market even opens.
Can't remember exactly who it was, but I remember decades ago, Philadelphia had Pro Bowl corners. I think it was Trey Vincent and Bobby Taylor.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they cut them both and got Lito Shepherd, and they got another youngster, and it worked.
Yeah.
It's not too often where you say goodbye to 2 really good football players, you add 2 more and it works. So, yeah, I mean, Philly's going to experience this, the hangover. They got some big-time free agents as well to deal with. All right. Lots happening. What's going on with you tonight?
Yeah, a lot of Jaguar talk. Tom McManus is going to join me coming up here in about 25 minutes or so. We'll talk to Tommy Mack about everything that's transpired with the Jaguars and certainly preview free agency. And then Luke Easterling. It's one of my favorite to talk draft with, Athlon Sports. He does a mock draft every Thursday for Athlon Sports. He's got an interesting perspective on not only the Jaguars, but Luke is a self-proclaimed Tampa Bay Buccaneer guy as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask him, has 6 weeks healed the wounds of Liam Cohen down in Tampa? So we're going to do all that with Luke Easterling coming up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour.
All right, man. Have a blast.
Thanks, Rick.
Couple of updates. 6th-ranked Florida State, 7-1 over North Florida, bottom of the 6th. 7th-ranked Florida trailing right now to UCF 6-2. That's in the top of the 6th. Where's Miami? I had it here. Miami up 3-2 at Florida International. That is in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Thank you to Ryan Roberts tonight for joining us from A to Z Sports NFL. Thank you to Dylan Denmark. We're back tomorrow, Wednesday, at 6 o'clock. And I'm looking forward to it. My name is Rick Ballou. You are listening to the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.